Senator Chambliss?
Yes, I can
Hi,
hear you,
this is-
Elizabeth. How are you?
Good, how are you?
All
Thank
right,
you so
a lot
much.
rather talk to you than Sonny. I want you to know that. Tell
Well,
him I said that too.
we appreciate you taking the time to
Sure.
speak with us. I know your time's limited, so I've just got some questions outlined, obviously, about this budget that came down yesterday.
Right.
And obviously, Governor Deal has already said that he is going to move forward with, this project. What do you think? Do you support that decision?
Yeah, I sure do. I'm just glad we've got a governor that leads. We've got a president that does not live up to his word, but thank goodness Nathan Deal has said, we don't care, federal government. We've been working on this program for 13 years. The program is shovel ready. It means jobs for our state. It means an improvement to the economy of the country, and I'm willing to lead. So I'm very appreciative and supportive of Governor Deal's decision.
And this budget hasn't been approved yet. Do you think, and obviously Congress still has that opportunity to say yes or no, I mean, do you think this will pass?
Yeah, this budget will never see the light of day. A budget is just a blueprint. The president puts out a budget, then the House and the Senate normally pass separate budgets, but the Senate until last year had gone 5 years without passing a budget. I don't expect the Senate to come forward with any budget whatsoever. If the president's budget were to hit the Senate or the House, it would not get very many votes, if any. But that doesn't slow down the fact that this president has taken a position that in spite of 13 years of hard work by the Georgia Ports Authority and the community of Savannah to jump through all of the environmental hoops and the federal hoops, and we now are the model to which every other port's going to have to subscribe to. And despite this president, the vice president, making a public and private commitment to fund this program, this president has taken a position that legally he doesn't have to do it, so he's not going to do it. And that's a shame. That's just a total lack of leadership and a commitment to the economy of this country and to this particular project that is so vital to the economy of Southeast Georgia.
Now, this project depends on the Water Resources Development Act. Where does this stand? I mean, I was talking to folks over at the ports. Does this need to get passed in order to, aside from the budget, this project is also dependent on this act, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's what happened was this project was passed about 10 years ago, and the cost of the project has escalated because of the lack of completion. So therefore, we had to go back and increase the amount of anticipated expense for the completion of this project. That is in the Word of Bill. That Word of Bill has passed the House and the Senate. The differences between the two bills are being worked out now in a conference committee, and that conference, I think, will probably conclude in the next couple of weeks or certainly the next 30 days. But unfortunately, this White House has already taken a position that irrespective of whether it's in the Word of Bill or not, it's not going to get funded in this year's budget. That's what really irks me when Senator Isaacs and I got a commitment from this White House to fund this project. It was irrespective of the Word of Bill because we had some language inserted in the omnibus bill by Congressman Kingston that fixed that problem. But now the administration is simply taking a position that they're going to ignore what is current law and that they're not going to fund this program. That's why we're all so upset. We've been led to the altar, and all of a sudden the bride has walked away and thrown up her hands and said, we're just not going to complete this.
So do you think the WRDA will get passed this year?
I think WRDA will. I think it'll be signed into law within the next couple of weeks or certainly within the next several weeks. But what that does, it just delays the project for a year, were it not for the strong backbone of Governor Deal to step in and say, we're going to take some state money that's already been committed, we're going to begin work on it, and we have been told by the director of OMB that this is going to be a top priority of hers for next year, but that doesn't help us this year. Thank goodness we got a governor that's willing to lead on this.
Absolutely. So if WRDA passes, will the federal government still be required to match the 60%
Yes.
of the project funding?
That's correct. That's right.
Okay. Now, what about the Panama Canal? I know there have been some delays there. Does that have any impact on CHIP?
It will have an impact from the standpoint that we originally thought the Panama Canal would be completed this year. Then we thought it'd be next year because of some labor disputes and contract disputes down there in Panama, which have now been resolved and they're back at work. It may be the latter part of 2015 or early 2016. That gives us some leeway, but not much, and really not as much as we would like to have. So we need to get moving on this project, and it needs to be completed by the end of next year, if at all possible. That's going to be a very difficult timeline to meet, though.
Well, I know the folks at the ports really wanted this to even get started this summer. Do you think that's just unreasonable at this point?
Well, with Governor Deal willing to step forward and spend state money, I think that now is a real possibility. We'll just have to see exactly what the timeline is, but I think that could happen.
Obviously this is a political move by the president. What do you think's behind all of that?
Yeah, this is so strange. I mean, you have Republicans wanting this project. You have Democrats wanting this project. Both of us, Republicans and Democrats, have gotten a commitment from the White House that the White House is now not honoring. You have the labor unions that want it, non-labor unions want it. You got the community that wants it. You got the whole southeastern United States that wants it. It makes no political sense whatsoever not to fund this. That's sort of what is really mystifying about why the White House has all of a sudden taken this position.
I spoke to a scientist who was a part of the initial analysis of this project, and he says this may be good for Savannah, but not necessarily for the entire country. He says we have an excess of export capacity, and deepening the ports will only help the imports. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think he's dead wrong there. This is going to help import and export. Savannah is the fastest growing container port in the country. It has been for the last 12 years. It's now the second busiest port on the East Coast. It's going to benefit Savannah, the economy of the whole southeastern part of the state. But this is not just about jobs in Chatham County and the surrounding county. There are almost 300,000 jobs in the state of Georgia that grow out of the port at Savannah. That's a staggering number. But when you think about Home Depot, you think about Georgia Pacific, you think about all of the companies in metro Atlanta that depend on imports and exports going in and out of the Savannah port, that's what this is all about, and it's going to help the entire southeastern United States, not just the Savannah area.
Now, I understand there was it $1.5 million allocated for from the president's budget. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that goes with about $1.6 million that was in last year. Those are what the OMB categorizes as non-construction funds, and that's kind of the argument we're having with them. If they had categorized them as construction funds, then we could sign our agreement with the Corps of Engineers, but because they're non-construction funds and allocated for design, then they take a legal position at the White House that we cannot sign that agreement. There again, that's unfortunate.
And y'all think that but as far as WRDA, y'all believe it will pass and the Army Corps of Engineers can get to work at some point this year?
Well, no, they're not going to be able to start this year because all new starts have to be funded in the budget, and we're not going to be able to start from a federal standpoint, federal money going into the project. But with Governor Deal's commitment, we can start the project with state funds. The Corps is going to be involved because they do supervise all projects like this. But we hope that'll be done this year with state money. And then we're very hopeful that the White House, that the commitment they made to us once again yesterday is that this will be in next year's budget. That's no consolation for me. That is, I have no trust and no confidence in this White House at this point. When they make a commitment to you like they made on this project, and then they don't live up to it, there's just nothing right about that.
Well, is there anything else that that's really important to highlight about all this that I might have left out?
Well, we continue to dialogue at the level of Senator Isaacson, Congressman Kingston, Congressman Barr, and others with the director of the budget office about trying to figure out some way that we can at least sign the agreement between the Georgia Ports Authority and the Corps of Engineers. If we can do that, then we'll be on a little more solid footing going into next year's budget requests. We're not giving up on that. That doesn't really help us federal funding-wise this year, but it'll certainly put us at the top of the heap funding-wise for next year.
Okay. Thank you so much, Senator. I appreciate your time.
Okay, Elizabeth, it's good to be with you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.